Toe Talk Tuesday, everyone.
Toe Talk Tuesday.
Yay. Um, so today we have a really interesting question. Um, why do we do toe reading? We've talked about what toe reading is, um, and we've shared a little bit about how to use toe reading. But why do you do toe reading, Christina?
Oh, I think this is such a great question. And it's like this is the heart of it, so you don't see it right away. And I love to share the information, to share this goodness. So much about the what and the how, but the why is really the heart of it. So when I was introduced, and I've told this story before, so I'll just shorten it down, but there was a tiny little classified ad in 2006 in my local metaphysical little newspaper that in 2006 in Boise, Idaho, I don't know what the circulation was, but it certainly is not what it is now, right? But it was my lifeline. It was actually my lifeline, this little newspaper. So shout out to the Hedra News, Treasure Valley people. So I saw that and it hit me in a way that I just knew that I was going to be there. Like I had 4 kids at the time. My youngest had just finished chemotherapy after a year of chemotherapy for her cancer treatment, like the intensive chemotherapy. She still had 3 more years of monthly chemotherapy. She had leukemia. So like from a time standpoint, like not ideal for me to go take a Saturday afternoon, but I just knew. So there's part of the why. Like there's this knowing that, oh, I'm curious. I feel the resonance. This is for me. I'm deeply curious about myself. And the more that I understand myself, the more I understand other people. And relationships are so important to me. So there's actually my biggest why, because relationship with self and others really is like my greatest prosperity, my greatest blessing, and my deepest desire is deep connection. And and so when I read my own toes, it's for a deeper understanding of myself. It's for me to be able to see the things that are not in my current consciousness, to connect more deeply with myself. When I read other people's toes from a professional standpoint, I want to offer that gift to them. Look, here's what your body is saying, and here's how it's saying it. I'm such an educator, and I know you are too, Marissa. When I'm doing a toe reading, like I have actually had people go away and say, okay, I'm reading toes for all my family because you gave me so much information. Yes, yes, because toe reading is life changing. But I want them to have a deeper love, understanding, and compassion for themselves because I believe, and this is my deepest why of all of my work, that if we know and love and have compassion for ourselves, that extends out to others and the world. And that's the world that I want to live in, the world of deep love, compassion, and connection. And so when it really, like when you really boil it down, that's what it is. So there's my why.
Oh my gosh, I have chills hearing you say that because I mean I've known you long enough that I know that you are an incredibly authentic person. Um and and you have so much give in you, so much caretaking and caregiving. And and two things really jumped out at me. One is that like you talking about sharing that and helping people care for themselves, but that it started with you knowing, just knowing in that moment when you were so caught up in caregiving for your daughter that you needed this time for yourself to learn this thing, even though you didn't know what it was going to bring to you. And then you even said like it was just that self-care, like doing it for myself and learning how to read my toes and embodying that. Um, And yeah, it just says so much about who you are.
Thank you so much. And this really is such a beautiful question for people to ask themselves about. Everything is not necessarily why, but what is the why? Like, what is the why in your heart around whatever you're doing? Or saying, or how are you, however you're spending your precious energies of time, focus, money, like all those things, what is the why behind that? And you can get to know yourself so well, and your toes can actually help you with that why too. We've talked about, how these toes can present different things that help you know what your values are. And then are clear on your values. And if I know what your values are by looking at just that quick glance down at your toes, well, that lets me connect more deeply with you because I want to talk to you about your values and what you care about. So, with that, Marissa, what is your why?
um, I'm like, I don't know how to follow that. Because I just think what you said is so beautiful. You and I are very similar in this, in the value of um believing that everyone has a birthright to feel their worth. And um, you know, I talk about as, the thing that connected for me genetics as a genetic counselor and human design when I moved into that, like it made so much sense in my head, that sort of Venn diagram, because at the core is this belief I have that each and every one of us is a one-time only cosmic event, and that the more that you know yourself, the more you're able to set those boundaries, um, and to share the beautiful piece of the puzzle that you are. And then you just attract the people who are your complement, right? And you don't have to try and fit in, you get to actually belong. And that when we do that, the ripple effects, like you're sharing, right? The ripple effects that it creates, when you get to be your authentic self and you don't judge others for being their authentic self. And so for me, when I met you and when you explained what toe reading was, and we talked last week about, I was like, I don't want to send you a picture of my toes. But I was like, this makes so much sense because it's another way of, like you said, connecting with who you are and being able to have that curiosity and that awareness of where you are in this moment and what you need, like maybe where you're hiding, where you're playing small, where you're living in your shadow. Um, and so, yeah, like I that is truly everything that I invest my time in has some sort of connection to, like you said, just being able to feel my wholeness and my holiness with a W, holiness and holiness. Um, and in doing that, then role model, um, for others that they have that birthright as well, and also hold myself accountable to being the person who embodies that and lives that and stays curious and asks questions, um and gets to know them in their wholeness and holiness. And so, yeah, that's my why. And I feel like that was, I don't even know what I said. I feel like that just kind of channeled out. Um,
Beautiful.
but yeah, I mean, just as an example, and I would love to hear an example from you too, like when you told me that the longer second toe, like my second toe was being the longest toe, meant that I was here to express myself and to communicate. I knew that, right? Like I'm a super verbal processor. I'm a huge extrovert. it's not it's not a shock if people have been watching this channel or know me. Um, but it was just that, like, the fact that it was there in my toes for you to know that. And um it was just like, this is the why. Like, I now have evidence that the thing I know about myself is expressing itself in all these different ways in my body. Um, and then that's one of the core things I go to. Like, the first thing I do when I teach yoga and see the kids take off their, kids take off their socks, is look at that second toe. We've talked about it before. Like, the first toe I look at is the second toe. Um, and I feel like that embodies that why, right? It's like, oh, I can adapt to you and meet you where you are, and I can see myself. And then we get to just be a more beautiful jigsaw puzzle together. Yeah.
I love that so much. And yeah, our why is, I love that together our whys were expressed slightly differently and are just, but they're really just different flavors of the same thing. And that's partly why we're such a great team together. And really, this deep desire to share this powerful, simple knowledge with people. And with that, that helps everybody get more in touch with their why.
And I love what you say as we wrap up, like, just for those who are listening to, and if you want to share in the comments, we would love to hear it. Like, what is your why for whatever you do? And I think also as a foundational question to build relationships on, like, to ask other people when you meet them, like, what is your why? Because yeah, it's such a, like you said, such a powerful question. And we don't always sit with that intentionality. And when you do, you often choose a different path to take. And it's one that leads you to feeling more whole and more fulfilled and more authentic and more aligned. So, yeah.
When you're saying that, it takes me back to a concept that downloaded to me many months ago, and I keep talking about, that is that people think they're looking for like-minded people, but we're really looking for like-hearted people. And so your why is your heart. It's not real, like I could give a billion different mind focused whys. Like, why? Well, why? Well, why? And there is a place for that. But your why, that is in your heart. And so Marissa, you and I, like, we do have some like-mindedness about some things. Absolutely. But if we didn't, because we're like-hearted, we could actually really beautifully, compassionately, and open-hearted and mindedly talk about these differences and not be triggered by them in each other.
Yeah.
And so finding that like-heartedness by asking people what is their why, and moving down into that heart space, because we're all looking for like-heartedness. Like-mindedness, I'm sorry, that's a 3D thing. So I'm ready. I'm ready for the lighthearted. I don't
You
care
just
if you think
blew
like
my
me.
mind with that. Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you. And thank you, Marissa, for being lighthearted with me and our whys and our deep desire to share this knowledge with humanity.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to this Toe Talk Tuesday. Click like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
Mwah.